That was like a countdown from 5. Welcome to the Proper Wellbeing Chat, episode 13, right? Unlucky for
Whoa.
some, but lucky for you, lucky buggers. And we're going to be talking sustainable results today. But of course, I am joined by the wonderful co-host, Mr. Ben Johnson. How are you today, sir? And what have you been up to since our last podcast?
Well, that is an excellent question. I mean, number one, I am very, very well indeed. Number two, not a huge amount, I must admit. We've got the joys of self-isolation going on in our household at the moment. It turns out that young children testing positive for COVID is actually no problems at all. They don't seem to get ill, or not in my case of my child, but the sofa is getting absolutely hammered because he's really bored, and he's usually very active but can't currently leave the house. So yeah, if I get disturbed, or we get disturbed, it's because I'm going off to find out what on earth has happened to the sofa, because there'll be a big cracking noise. Yeah, that's been me.
Well, that's a lot, mate, considering that we literally just recorded the last one. And
Shh, don't tell him that.
you've been, we're organised. It's okay. We're organised.
So,
But yeah, actually, both of us have reasons why we might have to run off mid-podcast. So, having said all that,
I don't want to know what yours
I
are,
mean,
mate. You just keep that to yourself, and if it happens, I'll try and cover for you. All right?
yeah. If anyone asks, it's the puppy,
Yeah,
which it actually is, the puppy.
yeah.
So, sustainable results. Last week we covered mistakes to avoid, okay, to make your journey more sustainable. So it's only sensible that this week we cover 6 huge wins to get sustainable results.
Yeah.
All right, because like we said last week, more than ever now people want sustainable results. I feel like Boris Johnson when I say now more than ever and all that, but it's true, people want sustainable results. And like we said last week, it's not a COVID thing. People are switching on to not wanting to feel crap for months after feeling great for a few weeks,
Yeah.
right? People are clocking onto that. People want sustainability now. People want to get fitter each year moving forward instead of being fit, being unfit, being fit, being more unfit,
Yeah.
being less fit, being really unfit, and on that negative decline.
Yep. Yeah. And on the diet side as well, we said weren't going to cover training and nutrition today, but it's the two that people focus on. But it's like, yeah, I'm going to jump on a diet in January or whatever, and then all of a sudden you find that next January it's like, well, you had a month of horrific eating of like kale smoothies and massive calorie restriction and not being able to go to your friends' birthday parties because you didn't want to eat cake. But in fact, the next January you're as heavy as you were, or in fact probably heavier for a lot of people. So yeah, that whole kind of on off just doesn't work for people, does it? So we've done a lot of the negatives last week. What do people need to be doing to making sure that they can be getting sustainable results? Where are we starting today with this one?
So all these are pretty much in the order that we coach in the academy, right? And there's so much more. But what I've done is I've identified, I think, what the top 6 are for sustainable results. And number 1 is a reason bigger than you.
Yeah.
Okay. Because get this, right? If you're just going to the gym, yeah, then you wake up 2 days later, just going to the gym. Wake up 2 days later, just going to the gym. You can see how boring and feeble that sounds, right? So after a few weeks, you're just not going to do it. You need more leverage. You need more excitement. You need more reason. You need something outside of you, whether it's an event that you're working towards, whether it's like family members who are going to benefit from you being a better person, whether it's like just looking at everyone who's going to be impacted from you being the best that you can be, whether it's like overcoming something monstrous that you've been dealing with for years. You need a bigger reason than just rocking up to the gym.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's still, I think when we're saying bigger than you as well, it can still be like really personal to you. It doesn't necessarily have to be, if you like, for somebody else, whilst that can be a real big driver. It can be something that's really, really personal and kind of deep seated inside you. That is just as important. But that whole like, oh, I'm going to the gym today, or I'm eating a kale smoothie today, or I've got a cut birthday cake today, just doesn't cut it long term. That whole, I want to be a bit fitter, I'd like to lose a little bit of weight. It's like we hear that all the time for people. Think big, people. Yeah, think much bigger than yourself, and you know, be positive about this. Go as large as you want to go, and get that kind of inspiration to push yourself forwards. It's huge.
Yeah, and you are the biggest reason, right? So when it says here a reason bigger than you, something Ben just said there was spot on. Like you are the biggest reason, but make it mean more than that on top of that, right? And I suppose what it should be is a reason bigger than the motions,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Which is just going to the gym. I'm just going to eat lunch because you've got no direction, right? So yes, you are like the biggest factor in this, but also how can you make it mean everything to you that suddenly there's more pleasure to doing the things that you want to do than pain.
Yeah, that's huge, and it's one of the very first things that we cover in the academy is how you can go about finding that reason bigger than you. So yeah, cool. Right, number two. Love this one.
Get in there, mate.
Can I go this one? I mean, it says adherence. I know you've written this because we were going with like sustainability and adherence, and I was like, oh, these are really boring words, but I know where we're going with them because it's all about it's kind of taking action and doing action consistently and just doing it again and again and again, isn't it? It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be spot on every single day, but if you're getting up and, you know, hitting the gym on a regular basis, being decent with your nutrition on a regular basis, and doing that for as long as you possibly can, then you're gonna get results. That whole idea of imperfect action done consistently beats that perfect action done inconsistently is critically important. I think is it number 2 in the strap line inside the academy? I can't remember. We've got 3 things at the top of our academy when people log in, and it's that whole idea of like, you don't have to be perfect, but you do need to take action, and you need to consistently adhere to taking action. That's what it comes down to.
100%. So number 3, all right, so we've got a reason bigger than the emotions, we've got adherence, so actually sticking to stuff, so making it more fun, making it more enjoyable, making it mean more. Imperfect action, not looking to just be perfect. Number 3, we have correct education, right? And oh my God, how boring does that sound? I just want to listen to Linda on Facebook because she's lost 2 stone. So I'm going to do what she does.
Is it Linda this week? I thought it was Sharon. Was it?
It was Sharon. Linda, I rate. We just lob a name out there.
We're going to have to start apologising to a lot of people. That was. I mean, we could say it could be Colin. You know, I don't want to be gender specific on this.
Yeah, good point. Let's go Colin.
Let's go with Colin.
Always giving out terrible nutritional advice in the gym.
Colin. I know. We could say Mark, couldn't we? We could say Mark.
Is that just a random name there?
Just so happened to pull that one out of the bag. Anyway, moving on. That person, the correct, I think is what we're trying to get at. Correct education. Carry on.
Correct education. It's massive, right? Because if there's things that you don't know, and especially in our industry is so. I don't even know how to describe it. I can't think of the word.
It's full of snake oil salesmen, basically. I think first and foremost, there's a huge amount of misinformation out there. I mean, there's a huge amount of money involved in the industry, like multi-billion-pound industry. It's very, very poorly regulated in terms
That's the word.
There you go. I knew we'd get that.
That's the word. There's no regulation.
There's no regulation. It's like, so whilst we have qualifications, obviously, you know, you and I have got level 3s, level 4s, we've got online qualifications to teach all this kind of stuff. It's like, there's no real reason why you couldn't set yourself up on Facebook as a boot camp instructor or something along those lines, and just go into people's houses and deliver PT sessions to them, and potentially get away with it, which is horrible to think about, to be quite honest. That idea of kind of correct education is it's critically important, is it? I sometimes use the example with this when it's like, you know, I drive a car around, but I don't know how my car works. Yeah, so if my car needs fixing, or if it needs servicing, or it needs looking after, I take it to a garage, and I pay the man at the garage a hefty chunk of money to make sure that my car works very, very well for us. It's like, if you're going to the gym, or if you're taking your advice off Sharon or Facebook, it's like you taking, you know, a toolkit to your car and trying to fix the engine up and expecting it to work better when you've finished with it. It's not going to happen. Well, unless you're a mechanic, in which case, you know, fair dues, that's your wheelhouse, isn't it? Yeah.
But actually, we've been saying about getting advice from people on Facebook, but do you know what? There are people with millions of followers that aren't qualified to be doing what they're doing, right? And they're not good at what they're doing, and they're taking money off people. And for example, there's a lot of doctors with books out. I'm not going to mention any surnames, but there's a lot of doctors with books out that have zero nutritional background that are giving out diet plans, right? Giving out diets to follow, and unsustainable diets to follow. And some of these doctors have multiple books, because if the last one didn't solve you, but it worked for a little bit, well, maybe the next one will work for a little bit too. And then maybe actually blood sugar is my problem. It's not that I'm eating too many calories. Or maybe I just need a certain number that I know I'm going to be in a calorie deficit, and like it's drastically low. And just moving from book to book, even though these people have millions of followers, probably made millions of pounds, it doesn't mean that the advice that they're giving has your best interest at heart. So correct education is about finding people who have your longevity and your best interests at heart, and follow data, not just make up what works for them. Like if I cut out carbs and lose weight, it's not because I've cut out carbs, it's because the reduction of carbs has created a calorie deficit in amongst the rest of my week, right? I had garlic bread last night. It doesn't mean that garlic bread creates weight loss, but that's what a lot of people do with data. They look at one factor and one solution, and are unable to prove it.
Extrapolate from that. Absolutely, it's so important. I mean, that whole, I'm going to pick up on a couple of things there, and we're probably going to overrun again, as we often do these things. I mean, that whole idea of, you know, taking advice from a doctor. I could go on the internet right now and I could buy a doctorate for probably about 100 quid. There was a really good guy called Ben Goldacre, who is a genuine doctor, who wrote about this probably going back 10 years or so ago now, who basically got his dead cat a doctorate just by purchasing from, I think, somewhere in the US, where you can basically log in, pay them 100 quid, and boosh, they will send you a certificate that says such and such is PhD, doctor, qualified in some rubbish. I was going to use a swear word then, but managed to avoid it. You don't need to have anything other than 100 quid and your dead cat's name, and you can become a doctor if you want. Happy days.
We need to talk about that off air.
We probably do.
And then change our whole business model and make millions of people. And what we'll do is we'll just cut this little bit of the podcast out so no one hears it.
Okay, I'll do that, mate. Don't worry, because I'm
But we'll get those doctorates next week.
Okay.
Right?
We'll stick them on our certification.
2 weeks down the line, we'll release a book.
Well, we might be releasing a book anyway, but that's about it. I would say the other thing, the other thing that I just want to pick up on, like the correct education, because there is so much information out there, isn't there, and so much misinformation. It can be really difficult to kind of filter out. So I think for me that there's kind of a couple of things, and this is where, I mean, we're talking about sustainable fitness, we're talking about adherence and correct. It's boring stuff, isn't it? Or it sounds boring when we're talking about it. And to be quite honest, if you're looking at some advice thinking, well, that sounds really boring and uninteresting and maybe therefore isn't going to work, it's like there's a really good chance that actually it will work. And the reason it works is it's because it can't be monetized, really. You know, it's like, I can't sell a sexy book off the back of, you know, sustainable fitness. I'd need to come up with a much sexier title than sustainable fitness to sell that book. But it's like, you know what? If it's boring and sounds boring, there's a real good chance that it's going to work for you. Anyway,
Absolutely.
Should we move on to number 4?
All right. So
we're like halfway through.
Isn't called correct education, is it?
No.
So
it probably should be.
It probably should be. But what we need is a bit of number 4, really. We need a little bit of flexibility, right? And I don't mean how's your splits out of 10. I mean, what do I mean here?
What?
What do I mean? I got distracted
You
by
mean
yoga position.
Yeah, you mean how's
I
your
mean,
splits out of 10? You mean it's like you need to have some flexibility in your approach to how you do things, don't you? It's like we kind of touched on
that
not
is what
going
I meant.
100% at everything. We talk about the 80-20 rule in the academy. Are you back on track now? Do you want to take over, or shall I roll with it?
You go. I'll just sit back. I'll have a bit of water, and I'll come back in
You think about doing the
when
splits,
I'm
mate.
ready.
You think about
Yeah.
doing the splits. I'll get into a little bit more about flexibility. So I think this for me is one of the crucial ones about kind of how you can take the positive from sustainable results and say, it's like you've got a mate's birthday coming up, and there's going to be cake and out for beers and maybe a curry or whatever. And if you're in this kind of calorie restriction mindset or whatever, you're on this hardcore diet, you're like, oh no, I can't go to my mate Kev's birthday because I'm on a diet, and you're missing out on your mate Kev's birthday. All right. But if you have this idea of being flexible about your approach to health, fitness, well-being, all the rest of it, like, well, actually, you know what? I'm going out for Kev's birthday. I know I'm going to have a curry. I'm going to have far too many beers. We might go on to a club afterwards. Great. Go out, enjoy yourself. But also, then you need to either kind of preempt that by being real good for 2 or 3 days on the run up to it, or even for 2 or 3 days on the way out of it as well. And get some more workouts in, really focus on some kind of calorie restriction if you need to be doing weight loss over that time period, whatever it may be. So having an approach where you can look at what's coming up, or perhaps what you've done, because you fall off the wagon now and again, don't you? Yep. We all do. You'd be like, oh, I had what was it, garlic bread for tea last night? Absolutely disgraced, my friend.
It wasn't. That wasn't the main part of the meal. That was just a side.
that was it. Just.
However, it was a side on a turkey mince chili with a small portion of rice. It was nice and balanced. And then I went in this morning and had a good workout, and the world is all good again.
That's it, mate, isn't it? That is it. Because people are going, oh, there's carbs in that. You've had far too many carbs. It's like rubbish, have you? Yeah, you're aware of what you've had. And that's where your correct education, that previous point comes from. It's like, how many calories are there in that? And I'm not going to put you on the spot with that one right now, but it's like, okay, I had a couple of extra 100 calories yesterday that perhaps I shouldn't have done. I need to rein it in a little bit, maybe today and tomorrow, and just cut 100 out. But if you're
just
not
over 1,000.
Oh, was it? Was that like frantically Googling that?
No, I know it, mate, because I know it because do you know what? That I have a reason bigger than me. I adhere to my garlic bread. I read the nutritional labels, so I have the correct education, and I only buy 1 to 2 a week, so I allow that level of flexibility, and that helps me enjoy my garlic bread.
Happy days. So does hopefully that answers. Did you want to touch on anything else on
yeah, I just want to say, look, anything that you're doing with zero flexibility, and like the amount of coaches that like berate their clients on Facebook because they put a picture of a beer up, or like give them solid strict diet plan that just takes the family out the equation 1,000,000% because they want you living out of Tupperwares for the rest of your life. There's no flexibility, right? So straight away, it's not sustainable. You're not going to do it. You need to be able to bring in flexibility in a way that works in alignment to your goals, because you can still get incredible results by working 80% towards your goals and having 20% leeway, downtime, and fun. Okay, that's what it's about. And then number 5, overcoming your obstacles. All right, this stops everyone. They do something short term, and then suddenly they have an extra short deadline at work. So then they stop everything. And then before you know it, they've now had 6 months out of the gym. But the only thing that caused it was they had one deadline 6 months ago that like overtook their whole week. So they stopped, right? Yeah. So last week we covered about the all or nothing and stuff like that. Yeah. But this is how we do it. We overcome obstacles. Okay. So if you're fearful of getting started and that's one of your obstacles, then look at the strategy for that. What is that? Yeah. Okay, well, do you know what? I'm just going to go into the gym and book a tour. Whether I'm scared or not, that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to book a tour and I'm going to sign up to the gym.
Yep.
That's it. Right? Like, just create solutions. So what we actually do with our clients, every day, we ask them about their obstacles.
Yep.
And get them to ask themselves about their obstacles. And every day we ask them for their solutions, because everyone has their own obstacles that they go through. There's generic ones, i.e. unhealthy food tastes really good.
Yep.
But then there's also personal ones, and normally it's the personal ones that stop you, right? So strategize for how you're going to overcome all your obstacles. Write them all out, write out all the strategies. You'll see when you've written them out, these are easy to overcome.
Yeah.
Easy. I have no time to train in the morning. Okay, get up half an hour earlier.
Yeah. Or train in the evening.
Yeah. Like
which is what I do.
Yeah, you train almost at midnight. I don't get that. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, well, my
you
training
train at my bedtime.
Yeah, my training starts at 8 o'clock. I genuinely wish it could be earlier. Don't get us wrong. But yeah, there's physically, with having a small child and a wife who's really busy and all the rest of it, it's like I physically cannot get training before 8 o'clock. And there's quite a lot of times when I really can't be bothered going training at 8 o'clock, and it's a real push to get me out the door. But you know what? Every time I go, I love it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I like training with you too, man, and I'm going to have to get back at that.
You certainly are. Anyway.
More, nimble. I've said it on a podcast. It's got to happen.
Going to happen. That's a different
obstacle.
obstacle.
And then number six, measuring backwards and aiming forwards, right? And what I mean by this is you've got to show yourself that you're making progress.
Yeah.
You've got to show yourself that there's wins there, right? If this is a journey that you're on for the rest of your life, because remember, sustainable results only follow sustainable habits, right? So you're going to be on this for the rest of your life. You want to be showing yourself wins. So you measure backwards to last week, to last month, to see how you were then to where you are now. And you can measure in different areas, whether it's in the gym on strength work, whether it's your energy levels, quality of sleep, your happiness, your nutritional choices, whatever it is, measure backwards, but aim forwards. Okay. So then you know that you're going to be building confidence because you're showing your mind, I am making progress here. I am better than I was 2 months ago. I'm really so much better than I was 6 months ago.
Yep.
And when we look at things in the short term, that's something that we might bring in the short term, but we never implement that consistently and adhere to building that confidence in the long term.
Yeah. It's so important, that one. And I'd say as well, it's not just that kind of idea of measuring. It's like, don't just think back to what you did, write it down, make a log of it as well, because the vast majority of the time you will remember all the crap things and where you failed. You know, how many times do you think back and you go, oh yeah, I went out on the weekend and I had an absolute skinful and kind of felt terrible on the Saturday. And how many times do you remember that actually you went for a walk on the Sunday afternoon before you went out for your Sunday dinner? Yeah, you remember the Saturday night out when you did the bad thing. You might not remember the Sunday afternoon when you got that bit of a walk in. Yeah, so make sure that you're writing this stuff down and having that record of where you've come from and what you've managed to achieve. Hugely, hugely important. Don't rely on your memory, because your memory is rubbish and basically tries to trip you up by telling you that you're rubbish. It's not true.
It's not true. It's not true. And it's absolutely true that it does that. So what we want you to do is we want you to focus on habits, not products.
Yeah.
Right? We want you to put more importance on becoming healthier and fitter for years, right? We want you to bring in flexibility, correct education, overcoming your obstacles. These are all things that are going to be game changers for you. And none of those things mean a thing over a 4-week program, right? Over an 8-week belly blaster, right? Means nothing. You won't get any of that because short-term fitness and long-term fitness require different skill sets. Yeah. Long-term fitness isn't just doing short-term fitness continually. It's looking at different things to make the journey as easy and sustainable as it possibly can be. Right? And to get a bit of a helping hand with that, we've made a new training which is absolutely free. Okay? And you can head to our website to download our brand new ebook on creating your sustainable fitness journey. Okay? So head to our website, www.aeonhaf.co.uk. That's AEONHAF for AEON Health and Fitness. So head to our website and download your copy of our brand new ebook to help you create your sustainable fitness journey.
Good stuff. Get over there. I'm going to put a big red button on the website, so it should be real obvious where you can get that product from. And let us know what you think of it as well. We'd love to hear your feedback when you've got it downloaded, and what actions it is helping you to take with your journey going forwards. I think we should wrap it there. I'm going to go and see if that sofa has disintegrated. Hopefully it hasn't, or whether he's still watching Netflix. And we will catch you all next week for the proper wellbeing chat. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next week.